Hi design thinkers, my name is Matthew Sear and today we're jumping into Figma and we are going to learn everything you need to know about building advanced scalable components. We're going to be using our variables, our components and our styles. We're going to be learning how to layer variable colors inside of our styles to make our styles super powerful. And then we're also going to be setting ourselves up with our actual scaling frames, and our scaling frames are going to have the ability to also change from a square, a round, and a soft frame. And we are going to learn how to do all of this inside of building an avatar component. So if you'd like to learn about advanced techniques with building out your components for your design system inside of Figma, you're in the right place. Sit back and relax, and let's jump into the video. So you'll be able to download this project and the Pixelink design system Lite in the description box below. I have set up all of our collections. It's actually got a lot more in there. So this is a great jumping off point for building advanced design systems using variables. So check it out. Also, while you're there, you can also check out the Pixelink Variable Toolkit. It's a tool built for the community for applying variables. So once you grab that, we can go into the project. Over here, we have our actual collections that we're going to be specifically looking at here. We have our component tokenized collection. What this collection does very simply is allow us a object specific, which is your component collection of variables that change this component itself. It allows us to first show or hide that initial, that's the text layer in our element. It also allows us to control the avatar. And this is where we will layer the different actual layering of colors through our actual avatar component. And this is all going to be captured inside of our style. So we are going to use a style. We're going to layer different layers of variables and images inside that style. And then at the end, we are going to be using our border frame sets and allow us the ability to choose between a regular frame thickness to a medium frame thickness to a bold frame thickness. And this will all be controlled in one set, allowing us ultimate control of our actual variables. Now, all of these things you don't necessarily need to do, but what this is all about is how we can learn how to do a lot of the things. How do you take advantage of all of these superpowers, and how do you then leverage them in your own design workflows? And we're going to be moving over to here, where we're going to be creating that tokenized pattern set. And what's a tokenized pattern set? Well, really easily, we need, for example, in our design, let's say a particular sequence of things that needs to take place. For example, in this, I'm taking the idea that we will have these different users. We're going to have different avatars with different avatar colors, and those different avatar colors actually correlate with a team, which I've defined as called a team variable collection pattern. And this pattern could also control for a lot more. Right here is just colors. So we're just controlling for the background color and the border color. Now, the patterns are all about how you find a consistent design structure that happens over multiple screens that you can support with a couple of data points, variables. So we're going to be building that out. All right. So we're going to take this and then we're going to jump into building out our actual style inside here. And then we create our profiles. So let's get started with this. So over here, we have our profile images. These are all images that are inside of a component. But if we zoom in, let's say we click on here, we can see that we have our style. And I have a style for each of my individual profile images. And what I've done is I've grouped these profile images into 4 groups, and I have them set up like so. These profiles though, if I was to, let's say, drag one off here, I can actually use my variables and I can use my avatar and I can switch it. And now I can see that I can show that other side, and I can see that I have the acronym as well for the actual avatar itself, which is all set up inside of both the style and component. How are we building these styles? Well, here's a picture of myself, and here is the top layer, and here is the bottom layer. This could be the background layer, which is this. And then what we're doing is we're adding in a picture in between, and then we're adding a layer, that's our colored layer, on the top. And this colored layer will hide the picture, and the picture, because we have an alpha, also can have a background. I'll grab out, for example, one of my avatars here, and we'll just get the picture out. And what we're going to do is we're going to detach and break that layer down. And we'll just zoom in here. We have our avatar surface. This is the surface that we define. And what we have at the moment is that it's actually transparent. And for it being transparent, that means that at the moment we can see through it, which means that we see through it and we see the image of the character or the person underneath. And then underneath and behind them, we also have another color. Now, this color we could dynamically change, which means that if we want, we could also set this up with another variable and add in an actual additional colored layer adjustment here as well. But I didn't, because that would be going a little extreme. We now can layer up our image and then create that effect and create one of these styles. So I'm going to grab my actual profile picture that I have here. I'm going to remove this line, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just add an extra layer. You can see that I've added this layer on top. I'm going to change that to white, but I'm going to set it to 0 for the time being. I'm going to add another layer, and I'm going to drag this layer down the bottom here, and I'm going to give it a color. And I'm going to set this to full opacity. And as you can see, I can layer that up. I can set myself in there. And now I have my avatar component with my picture inside. And what we can do is we can build out our collection right here. At the moment, we're using the surface collection to define at different states to hide or show the image. And what I'll do is I'll build out one additional one or just for a demo. And with our demo surface, what we can do is right here, we want to show the profile. If we want to show the profile, then we need to take away that colored surface. If we want to hide the profile, then we need a surface. So let's leave the white here for the time being. And then for our profile plus border, we want to also now hide the surface. So we'll hide the surface there, showing the profile. And we also are showing the border because down here, we have our border. We hide the border and we show the border right there. And we are hiding the border for basically these two, and these two we are showing the border. So I've done that, and I will show the white again with this one, and there we go. Now I can use this new variable and I can click onto my image here, and instead I'm going to actually use this inside. I'll use my demo. As you can see, it has that alpha. And what I can do is I can go up the top here. I can go to my avatar and I can see that I have my options. I can switch it to that, shows my white, or I can switch it back to the profile, which will show my border, but the border is added in the component. And I can switch it back to here and I can show that white again. And this is how you can layer up your actual images and your variables to manage a bunch of layers inside of a single style. And how do I make it a style? I press this button, then I press the plus button, and then I call this one, let's say, Sear. And now that Matthew Sear exists right there, I can also go in, I can actually edit Matthew Sear if I want. I can do all sorts of things with my avatar component, and can remove, I can adjust the different things, I can apply different gradients or different layers, I can change those opacities, etc. And I have the ability to fix and adjust them in there. Now I have my actual image set up. What I want to do is actually set it up so it can work inside of my collection. The best part is that I can right click and I can turn it into a component. Now, once I've turned it into a component, it has a frame around it. And then what I can do is I can make multiple of these actual components that have an image in the background that has a frame around it. And then I'm going to add my text into my frame. So I will first, let's say, create a variant. Now I have a variant, now I have a frame, and I have that inside of it. What I can do is I can simply just grab my text. I'm going to actually just drag out one of these and duplicate or detach it. I'm going to grab that actual text that's inside. I'm going to show it, and we can actually remove the actual text piece. So I'm going to grab that text, and what I'll do is I'll just chuck it into my frame. I'm going to grab that actual text. I'm going to make sure it's actually anchored from top to bottom and left to right, and the text is over there, which is fine. I will make sure that it sits on the frame perfectly edge to edge. I'm going to make sure it's centered, and what I'm going to do is I have my actual font weight, and I'm using my font weight collection to manage the weight of this font, which is inside of collections. We have a weight collection which manages our icon weights, which manages our avatar component weights, and what it does is it lines those weights up with as well our text weight. So we have our font weight. So anytime we adjust our weight for our text or for our icons or for this avatar, we use the same structure, which means that they can use and adapt and grow from one another. So anytime we use weight adjustments, we have our weight adjustment collection. So there is that. I have that text set up. I have my variables on my text. Great. But the text obviously is smaller, so that's okay. We're not too worried right now. We're going to be able to adjust that and make that appropriate. But what we have is the actual finished component. The last part is making sure that we can now hide and show that the actual text itself, which if we go back to our collections, we can see inside of our avatar collection, right at the top here, we have show and hide the initials. And this is what we're going to use. It's a simple Boolean statement that will switch on and off the text. I'm going to click on the text, and I'm going to use that actual ability. So I'm going to change the visibility. I'm going to go show initials. And because right now the actual default of this element is currently actually showing the default as in the avatar, then we can see the avatar. But let's say I select my frame, I go to my layers, I go to my avatar, I say show initials, it will actually jump into here. Right now, I guess I'm using white on white, but the initials are right there. If I click on those initials, let's say we change the color, there we go, we can see those initials. And for the initials, I'm going to use the exact same name. I'm not going to change the name, but what I will change is actually the actual initials themselves. So MS for Matthew Sear. And because I have this color, In the variable collection though is an existing color. So I can go up to the top here. I can go to the avatar specific color sets, and I can see that I have an initial color, and I'm going to go back into that actual set itself. And instead of using this white, I can see that I have this team actual collection, and that will allow me to have an actual dynamic team pattern. Honestly, the choices are yours and what you want to do with the collection. What I will do here, I guess, is I will leave it as a white that will sit on those. So I'm not going to adjust that, but I will loop in my team colors to my additional surface that I've made here. I'm going to go align. I'm going to choose the actual surface, and then I will do align, and then I will choose the surface, which now gives me that blue, as you can see over here. So as we've shown the initials, we can see the blue. As we hide, we can see the actual person. And if you wanted to make it even more advanced, you can go into your character down the bottom here, and you could actually, in all of your frames, use this layer to add that additional actual background team color. So if I select that team color there, now I have an avatar that both changes the background of the blue, and the blue will stay consistent between the switch between the two, which is fantastic. So now I have my new super avatar, and the best part is it's all set up quite nicely. What we can do next is we can jump into building out this simple asset with that avatar component, and then allowing it to adapt quickly up and down the sizes. So let's start putting this part together now. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to grab that avatar actual component that we built that has that text in the background, and what we have is a couple of different grouped sizes. The reason why we have these kind of group sizes is because we're actually going to be leveraging our other collections. We're going to be using our scaling collection and our size collection. So you're going to be able to go to local collections. You'll be able to open up the local collections, and we can look at what we have over here. Here is our size collection. We've used this in tutorials and in videos before, and this actual piece basically covers the different sizing units. This is the primitive collection that we will be utilizing throughout the actual design, but this specifically is all tied up inside of our scaling collection. And this is where we make specific variables that are built for the different components. Over here, I have my avatar component, which I've added in my scaling. I have scaling 1x, 2, and 3. And what that allows me to do is I have as well, by the way, a large, medium, and small. We got the large, medium, and small here. And this covers those. And we actually use these sets to adjust both the text, to also adjust the size of the frame. And as you can see, if you go here on the small scale, we can see, okay, small 24. And then we have our next one up, which is our 32. And then the next one up, we have our 46. But if I was to use my 2x scaling, I would get my 64, my 56, and my 48, and so on. And this is how you can create incremental adjustments in different sizes and different ratios, and you can use the scaling collection to scale your assets. And you can use a couple of grouped actual sizes to manage those scaled assets. So we're going to apply that to our component, and then we're going to also apply a very much the same scaling structure to the text to have the text dynamically scale. And because all of these values, this size value, all of this ties in to our size collection it also changes from mobile, tablet to desktop, meaning that we have these advanced sizes that adjust for also different screens, in addition to it allowing you all the choices of scaling yourself. So as we will build this out, I'm going to click on my profile. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to make those core sizes as a component. So I'm going to click on the profile, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to create a new component. And I'm going to use this profile avatar new component. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new property. I'm going to close that down. I can select this and I'm going to set it up with these different sizes, and I'm going to apply my actual fixed sizes to it. I'll first make sure though the component inside is going to actually be anchored from left, right, and top to bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'll open up the actual Pixelink toolkit for this because it makes applying these variables a lot easier. I'm going to drag that one out, and then I'm going to then apply the next scale up. So from here, I'm going to apply this. I'll apply my next scale up. I'll drag this out again. I'll apply my final scale up as well. Now I have my different sizes applied. And because I have that, I'm going to make sure to call this size inside my component. And I'm going to call this one the large. And I'll have this one here be that medium. And I'll have this one over here be that small. Finally, what I can do is I can actually start to set these up with their frames. So I can grab these and I can drag them down. And what we need is to create an additional actual property. This property is going to be the frame style, and we're going to actually apply a style to this. Inside of our collection over here, we can actually look at what we have in our actual rounding collection. We can go to scaling, and we have basically a style of our frames. So our frames are basically set up there, but we're looking for our rounding. So we want an infinite rounding, we want a no rounding, and then we want a actual fixed set round size. So we can just use our rounding scale, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Now this here as a style, I'm going to call this one soft. And now that it's a soft one, I'm just going to apply that softer rounding to it. I'm going to go up the top here. I can actually just apply rounding. So I can apply, for example, a 12 on that one. And over here, I can apply a 8. And then finally, I can apply my 6 on the final one. And because they actually will scale up, they will all scale up and maintain that same ratio across our actual style. So there we go, done that one. I'll drag it out again. So we have our soft style, and now we want our round style. So we'll call this one round, and evidently we are going to chuck on round, and that will give it that infinite round for us. And we are done there. Now, inside of every one of these singular frames, there is this actual text. We can select all of those text blocks, and you can see that they're all hidden. Now we'll drag up our layer here, and what we want to do is just quickly apply the actual text inside of this frame and inside of our other smaller frames as well. So grab that one, and what I can do is I can actually apply that smaller size, and I can go into these other frames over here, and I can make sure that I can apply that text size in these ones. So we'll go here, and we will apply that medium. And the large one already has the large, so that is great. It's already set up. And finally, we can apply our actual border, which we will be going in, clicking enter to go down, and we are able to add a stroke. And if we want, we'll just apply that stroke, or we could even go into here and apply the stroke. So we have a team border here, and we can apply a team border stroke to it. Now we have a thickness for that stroke, which is here. We can select that and we can add in that kind of particular thickness, and that is inside of our avatar collection, which is basically our different thickness ranges. I'm going to apply it to all to start with, and then of course the small one can of course be here, and we can have different sizes for the different ranges. But overall, now we've applied that to our avatar component, I can drag out this brand new avatar component, and inside of here I have the ability to change the sizes with this. I have the ability to select all of those, drag that out, and I can also change it to being a square, to medium, to small. I can also change that frame around, and if I want to also start to see all of the additional elements, I can go profile and border. I can click on that profile and border, and I can as well, let's even change the thickness using our weights. As you can see, there's so much we can do with setting up and creating our more advanced dynamic components, and we can use all of our collection sets all in one place to build off one another and continue to grow our ability to create smart advanced components. So I hope you've learned a few things in this, and I would love to know what you would do with your new skills with applying variables and layering inside of styles, in using different layered scalings to adjust your asset. Thank you, design thinkers, for watching the video. I hope that it's helped you out learn more about creating advanced design components. Also, let me know what your thoughts are in the description box below. And while you're down there, I pose the question, for another video that we're coming up with next, we're going to be layering inside of our styles, not just variables, not just images, but we're going to start using some GIFs and videos and animations to create dynamic styles inside of our design system. So what would you do if you could layer GIFs and videos in the actual style itself? And how could that help change your design system for the better? And until next time, design thinkers, keep thinking, keep creating, and keep building amazing things. And I'll see you all in the next video. All right.